Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Sort of doing these Thursdayly, if that's a term. I know, once a week, it just happens to be Thursday. Before I carry on with the episode, I want to say thank you to everyone watching the most recent PBW vs AVW episode. It was pretty ballin', as the children say, and I'm just presuming that they say that. I wouldn't know, as I'm not a children. And yeah, we got 5 albums to go through. So let's go through the albums. We start off with a unique debut, York England's Dead Flight with their debut album Arrival. I say they're unique because the lead singer is named Davey Richmond, who used to sing in a band called Glamour of the Kill. And this was sort of something that came out of nowhere until I looked it up, because Glamour of the Kill were rumoured to be sort of reunionising, returning I mean to say, and putting out new work. The other members have found other work as well. Davey found Dead Flight and honestly put together a pretty solid hard rock, sort of metalcore leaning hard rock album. I'm giving it a B. Really liked a lot of what I heard. You could tell Davey's got experience in this. The other people he had with him also did really good jobs. I do find it weird that the album has an intro track, then later on in the album it has a mid intro track. It's really weird. There's only 10 songs in the album too, so technically that's just 8 songs if you can be, asked to put their maths together in your head. I keep forgetting, UK, we actually add the S on the maths. So, yeah, a solid album though. Really liked Davey's performance. The performances of the other band members were really good too. Liked a lot of the production, I won't lie, it was pretty well handled, and a bit of a weirdly put together, but still very satisfying, very fun, and a very good take on heavier leaning modern hard rock from a band consisting of people who've probably done this before. I don't know a lot about the other members, I just know about Davey, but I'm just going with that assumption anyway. Next we go to what is technically the only American band on this list, Houston, Texas's Escape from the Zoo, with their second album, Counting Cards. This is their first album in 5 bloody years. What is with ska bands taking such long periods of time between albums? Anyway, I was sort of excited for this after I heard one of the singles, the name of which I can't remember fully, and yeah, I just stumbled across it and then heard that this was an album coming out, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll look forward to it, and I was right to do so, giving this album an A-. Really enjoyed it, loved the fun vibes, love how it's a ska core album as well. It's got really heavy post-hardcore and hardcore punk elements worked into the ska, and the weird thing is, none of the band members technically play ska-based instruments. There's brass instruments in the production of it, but the closest I can find is one of the band members plays a mandolin, which just makes me happy because mandolins are awesome. So take that for what you will. But yeah, really liked it. It's a silly album, I will admit. Silly in terms of its lyrics, very much focused on partying, but in a more let's just enjoy the time we have in this world kind of way, which is the best way to party. Really like the performances. I really wish I could pin down who was doing what fully, because there's varying sources say that there's 7 members of the band, and then there's some that say there's 4. A lot of the promotional material says that there's 4. It's very, very strange, but regardless of who does what, this is a very fun, very straightforward album. Really got some solid pacing too. It's not a long album, but it does fill the gap really nicely. So yeah, definitely a recommendation in my book. Next we return to York, England for Invisions with their 3rd album, Deadlock. I will admit I did get these confused with a band named Void Division, who are actually from Australia. It's just the word vision that was used. But, you know what? This wasn't the most unique metalcore album I've heard, and this is Invision's first in about 3 years. It's their 3rd album overall. I think I said that bit already. But it is a pretty good bit of metalcore. I will give it a B-. I think the weird thing for it with me is the production. It sounds a bit too scratchy for the genre. I don't like it. I'm all for a raw feeling album, a very sort of concrete, flowy sort of style with the production, but this album doesn't have that. It feels weirdly stagnant in some ways. It just doesn't, it's about average, but there's a lot of the other album's factors that, sorry for my hair, that work really well. I like a lot of the riffs really hit hard. There's some pretty solid self-examining lyrics about themes of mental health and stuff like that, and the performances are really good. The structuring is a bit weird. Again, I think that's not helped by the production being a bit of a stumbling block, but there are still really a good amount of bits to like about this album. Brit metalcore, is usually solid when it comes from where I live. So, well, not specifically where I live, but from Britain in general. But yeah, still a really good album, and it might be worth a listen. I did like elements of it. I just think they really need a new producer, possibly, I don't know, a better one for next time. Whoever did it on this one, could have done a little bit better. Next is the last English band on this list, Weather State, who are from Weymouth in England, and this is their second album, Never Better. I got there in the end. So, these are another band much like Escape from the Zoo. I sort of like heard a single off of. I was like, you know what, this is a very unique take on the pop punk genre. I'll give it a go. Might be worth a try, and I did like this album. I'm giving it a B+. One thing I enjoyed was like the slower, more fuzzy style, which is not something you really get for the genre. But that's really nicely present in a lot of the instrumental work, which is just really thick with the tones of guitars and very, very bass heavy too. The production really adds a lot to it as well. And there is like solid, sort of self-deprecating, tongue-in-cheek lyrics, which do, again, have really good self-examining things, but a bit more clearer to hear than in Visions, in my opinion. Where it does suffer, again, a little bit from the structuring. It feels a bit too short at points, and like, it's 11 songs. It's not too much longer than half an hour, but I don't know, it feels weirdly stretched out for an album that's not long to listen to. However, it's still very fun structuring, you know, the pacing is mostly good, and the new style, well, the new take on the style, definitely makes up for a lot of what you hear from it. So, yeah, it's just nice to hear something in a genre that I know all too much about. It's nice to hear something change a little bit about it, and while it's not a massive leap, it is a pretty welcome one, so who knows? Again, another album that might be worth your time. I was thoroughly charmed by this. Finally, we go to Basel, Switzerland for Zeal and Ardor with their self-titled third album. Now, this might be the only band that people actually sort of know on this list. So, I'm a huge Zeal and Ardor fan. I loved their last two albums, Devil Is Fine and Stranger Fruit. Both were really great. Didn't make either of my top 10 lists of prior years, but the self-titled might be a favourite of 2022. I almost said 2021. A favourite of 2022 for me. Giving this album an A. Loved how much more consistent it felt compared to the previous two. Loved how it worked in more elements of like the unique slave song thing that they do, which is always, it's so good when they do it. And yeah, just loved Mitch Gagnon. Manuel Gagno's genius, just like how he puts things together is amazing. Loved the production, which was handled by him and Will fucking Putney, which is a huge plus in my book, because I love Will Putney, and him working with Manuel is just like, that's a very happy thought. That's a very good thought in my head. But yeah, love the lyrics as well, obviously focused on more of a modern political climate, while still carrying on the concept that they have explored before of like, you know, what if black slaves back in the day would join the Satan side and not God's side. I love that idea. It sounds like something that could be in a comic book, honestly. Like, I would read the shit out of that. But yeah, absolutely, just find and listen to this album. It's pretty damn near flawless. I think, again, it's a structuring issue with it because the last two songs are a bit short and pointless, and there's so much great leading up to that does make up for it. But, you know, performances are solid, the lyrics are fucking great, the instrumental work is probably some of the best they've done. So, yeah, listen to it nonetheless. I would just cut off at the 12th song and not the 14th, because there's 14 songs, and there doesn't need to be those last two. It just feels weird, but yeah, still listen to this, definitely. And that'll about do it. I don't really have a lot to really self-promote other than the fact that the Powerwolf two-parter is almost written. I've got one more album to write, which I should probably get on after this video is put up. And then after that, well, hopefully tomorrow night, I will start streaming the Bulletstorm Let's Play, because that's coming out. And, let's see, I got the Resident Evil Let's Play all put up, and that's up now. Next videos I can promise are the possible Fight of the Night this weekend on Sunday, if there is one to talk about, and then next week, Very Brief History of Powerwolf and the two-part episodes of the next couple of days, as well as another BBW for Savadoob stream, the Go Home stream, before Reverence next Friday. So, yeah, that's my schedule, and I will see you all likely on Sunday. Well, tomorrow night if you watch my streams, which none of you do. And as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.